Hello and welcome to episode 9 of our Timberborn Update 7 Emberpelts playthrough here in Cycle 14, Day 18. A little less than 3 days left in our current bad tide. And right off the bat, I'm going to hit pause because I had an idea while reading the comments. And that was, what if this pool here, assuming we have positive pressure from all of this water coming in, ended up not sending the bad water this way, but ended up sending it this way instead. Because we already have this sluice diverting the bad water from these sources, so in theory this shouldn't get too polluted, and especially not on a 3-day bad tide. But I still wanted to check and see before we got too far to see if there was any way or any reason for me to modify this so we didn't get all sorts of nasty junk in here. Because keep in mind, this is going to be, in theory, high enough to keep all of this nasty from coming over here. And we have other things we can take into account as well. So let's just check real quick. I'm not sure if this is flow or just the effects on the water. This might actually be a slight bit of flow coming through here. But out this way, we have this coming here. We have this going here. And then we have this going here. So I don't think, unless the water level lowers over here, I don't think there's any reason for our nasty water to come out this way, or at least not in a large enough quantity for it to be a big deal. We did last time have somewhat of a successful diversion thing started. We did blast all the way out here, which, you know what, actually, since this is not going to be a tunnel, I can save a whole bunch of resources. I gotta make sure I don't mess with this right now because the beavers might be tempted to wade their way through poison, you know, as one does, just casually. But this is not going to have to be detonated as a tunnel piece because, well, there's nothing above it. So this could just be removed and replaced with simple dynamite, save ourselves a little bit of resource, and get on slightly better. I should have checked before I actually had them start on this, but you know how it goes. Okay, so part of the way through our first day of the drought here, about halfway, and I don't see any bad water. So if we speed this up, yeah, see, I don't see anything coming through here. Boy, wouldn't that be a great thing? Wouldn't that just be fantastic for us not to have to worry too much more about any diversions over here? Good, I was getting a little concerned about that, not going to lie to you. So we have plenty of other things to tackle over here, like improving our industrial area, figuring out other fun stuff that we've got to do. We got a lot of exhausted beavers because, well, somebody had them working a whole lot of hours before the start of this bad tide. So we'll leave those guys alone for a bit. I had previously paused our overhangs for our beaver hospital area because I didn't want them to use all of our metal and all of our construction resources because we weren't over here. But now that's not a problem, so let's get these guys unpaused and get that going there. And yes, I have heard you. The hospital, ICU, whatever, probably does need an elevator. Elevator being tube-ways, which we do have the science to unlock, and we do technically have the materials. So, in keeping with the theming of this, it's probably the tiny two-way stations best for an elevator type setup. But Emberpelts does, of course, have the normal vanilla one, just recolored. And there is a special small station for the Emberpelts. That's just 2x2. And then tiny two-way station is its own separate mod. I just want to clarify that. But we've used that a whole bunch in our Project 1K playthrough. And that has been mostly fine. So I do think I'm going to end up putting in, just for the aesthetic sensibility here, some sort of an elevator. And we also need to have our medical beds ready to go, and I need to have some sort of a design for the rest of this building. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to keep this mostly contained to this spot right here. So if I take medical beds and just go 4 here, 4 here, 4 here. I don't think we're ever going to need this many, but you know how this goes. You know how it goes. If I put another thing on the top of this, we do have these tanks here, then I could have another 4 of these beds, which would give me 16. Again, I hope I do not have to have 16 of these. But you know how this goes. Peel this back just a little bit more. I do still have this decontamination pod paused because I wanted them to build a tunnel back here so I could have power for these things. So we're going to leave that alone for the time being. This being the Phoenix Essence for the pods. We do have this small tank right here. I think for the purposes of aesthetic sensibilities, this can be removed. And then we can just have this, you know, be slightly nicer looking. So what's going to happen here that I think is going to be our best option is to replace that with another type of food storage. We do have grilled corn. We have all this other stuff here. So if I just put a small warehouse here, then I can take a look at the rest of these things and select something that isn't on this list as a ready-to-eat food that we are currently producing. Yeah, I don't see grilled beets, so that seems like an easy thing to put there. And then metal platform, 4x1 overhang, so on and so forth. I could put another one of these here. I'm going to choose not to. And instead, what's going to happen is, I have to remember where all this stuff is put. First of all, it's got a separate category for the two-boys. It's not always in its own category. Tiny two-boy station. Placed right about here. Probably makes the most sense. Put that there, and then we can have a, not a two-boy levee, just regular two-boy. I don't think this is the vertical one, so I do have to just check and see here. Or is it a... Oh, okay, I forgot the Emberpelts do have that one that can do all that. So if I put this tiny two-boy station right here, what that's going to do... actually, I needed to rotate that around the other way. That's going to give us a direct access to the bottom level. And then I am going to have some sort of other thing there. So I'm not entirely sure that's going to be the best option. Just trying my best to keep some sort of decent setup going here. Yeah, you know what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to put in a platform here. I cannot get used to these being in separate things. I'm going to stick that there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to work. Oh, there we go. There we go. It didn't want to play nice. There, and then the tiny two-way station on top, which could go... you know what? You know what? Depending on how I want to lay my paths out, this might actually be better... Might actually be better right here. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Tiny two-way station goes not there. Didn't need to do that way. We'll put that way. That way. Put that there. And then this is space that I could just fill back in with additional dirt should I so choose when the time comes. But that's going to allow me to then put in additional medical beds, or I could just leave it at 12 and then put some other stuff in, like, say, therapeutic scratching areas. There you go. How about that, huh? Right next to the elevator. And then we've got our different paths. Of course, we're going to put wooden paths in because that is the elegant solution. You know, hospitals have gotten pretty fancy these days. The last one that I was inside looked more like a resort hotel than a hospital, but I digress. This will give us a somewhat decent ability to get everything taken care of here. Once again, I become confused easily. My vision is based on movement, etc. So, wooden paths, right like that, and this will get filled in. But I think that is looking pretty nice. Then this back side as well. That gets emptied of charcoal because it doesn't need to exist. That's going to give us a pretty nice design here, and then we do have the ability to put some other stuff for well-being on this side, like, for example, the contemplation spot behind the medical beds. But maybe we want to give them a little garden or something. I don't know, different ideas for things to do. Just let them build what they want to build. We do have platforms. We also have these pillars. I believe I mentioned before, different variations of that. 2x2 platforms with the support in the middle. So some versatile things that we can, you know, construct. Oh, there's the staircase pillar. Different things. For right now, I think it's going to be in our best interest to just start the process of putting a cover on top of this. Explore different options. That's not the one I wanted to click on. Got all these roofing pieces. We have the half pieces we've already kind of done some stuff with. Yes, that's 2x3 there. That's the 3x2. I've used a whole bunch. So maybe this would be a better situation for us to just kind of think about exactly what we want to do and then come back to some of this later. We also have the option of putting in other well-being things like, for example, the rooftop terrace somewhere over here. We will get there. We'll let them do what they got to do and figure out where to go from there. But they have plenty of stuff to accomplish still. Okay, there's a little tiny bit. Little bit of bad water here. Okay, I can deal with that for right now. It shouldn't be a problem for too much longer. Let's get this on triple speed. And let's come back over here because somebody made an interesting comment that I wanted to investigate for the first time here. They're implying, if I'm remembering correctly, that these blockages are actually sealing in water sources. I don't see water sources here, so I'm probably thinking of a different spot on the map, but it is worth taking a moment to try and identify... Oh, there's a forest down here. Trying to identify where the rest of these sources are, because I know we've already talked about this area here. Talked about that. This right here being our main diversion space. Already talked about this being a separate thing. Aha! Okay, this must be... Yeah, this is the one they were talking about. So I'm sorry if that was you who left that comment. I figured it out now, as you've seen. But this would be a decent... thing to try to get to at some point in the near-ish future. You know how this goes. It does, in fact, just take time. I was also alerted that this floodgate system was not set appropriately for us to do what we wanted it to do. So this needs to be set to 0.9 so that we can have as much water as physically possible in here. I'm not going to do 0.95 because I feel like that's going to start causing flooding issues. This sluice probably also doesn't need to be here specifically. We'll see. We'll see what happens. 32 well-being, nice. I actually don't know why it's that high now. Maybe it's because they started getting into some other thing I forgot that I'd built. See, stuffed peppers, that also could be it. Baked beets are a +3. Wow. Okay, well that's part of the Emberpelts food extension. Good to know. Frog statues a +4. Okay. Yeah, you know what? Not looking too bad. Not looking too bad. I haven't actually started putting any of these sluice gates in over here. So before we get too far, cycle 15 begins. Yeah, see, this is a much more manageable amount of bad water for us to flush out of here. I don't think we're actually going to be in any sort of a contamination situation. It's only 13%, and it's going to keep going down. Well, it might go up a tiny bit as this gets flushed out. Or it might not, because I don't have anything in here for these guys to do. Alright, let's hit pause while I can think about this. I do want them to flush all the clean water through here, but that is going to mean all of this is going to have to get pushed out until it's completely clean. So what do we want to do? I think it's probably going to be fastest for us to finish this one here. So let's get our path with railings set up there. Get that connected again. I guess it doesn't really matter because all of this stuff under here is clean. You can just let them do what they're going to do. And I need to make sure the rest of this that doesn't need to be exploded does not get exploded. I think I can remove these tunnel pieces here. Yeah, it's not going to let me take this out because there's a tree on top of it. Actually, that would be way more convenient than trying to get rid of the tree in the first place. But we also probably don't need that. Don't need that to be removed. So this is all that has to be removed in terms of actual tunnel pieces. This over here now can be removed just as regular dynamite. And I think this is probably going to be fine. If it's not, we'll deal with it when that time comes. Yeah, let's focus on getting this done because it's going to come through here anyway. Oh, good. They are building. They are building those sluices there. Not that I, need them to be built at this exact moment in time, but they're finished with everything else. Which means, once this is done, I can come in here and build the regular sluices. In fact, I can start right here. That needs to be closed below contamination. What do I have these set to? 1%? Yeah. I do see you in the comments saying that below 5% is not going to infect anybody. So maybe I don't need to be quite so anal retentive about the percentage. Maybe we could go to 5, but I just like the idea of it being a whole lot lower. But I will compromise and go to 2 for you guys. I think we can make that happen. So just do one of those. And then these, of course, are paused because I didn't want them to spend all of their time taking care of this. But I do need these to be finished. So we can just leave that alone, except aside from changing that to 2%. There we go. Of course, wet beavers are going to wet beaver. This is doing fine here. And I do want to have a farm going down here before the end of this episode. That's one of my major goals. But as you know, it's just going to take time. Okay, good. We have a tunnel here. And that was going to come up behind here. Okay, and I want that to be a windmill with some stuff behind it. This is 5 of these. When they're finished, are going to draw 500 HP, which is why I put the engine there in the first place. But you know how it goes. Let's do one more tunnel this way. Get it just a little bit further. So that's at that level. And, let's see, where am I going to put my windmills, though, is going to be the big question here. It might look the best if it's on top of this right here, which would mean this needs to be blasted down. Let's see, I do only have the one size of windmill. They generate up to 150. So theoretically, I need to have 4 of those over here. And this technically could get blasted out inside with some sort of a tunnel thing, but I do want to make sure that that would be viable before I really commit to this. So say oh, it's actually going to let me do that, huh? If I was here, come on, there we go. And then here and here, that's not going to hide the other piece. So if I did this, just like that, then I can move these over. And that would still allow me to hide, I'm pretty sure, all the pieces I want to hide. So if we're on this level here, so what is that? 170, 127. Vertical power shaft tunnels. What a convenient building that is. Oh boy, I always forget about stuff like this. You know, because otherwise I would just say, oh, build a tunnel and then put a power shaft in it. Vertical power shafts, of course, in Update 7, if you were not aware, will still go any direction. It's just you can build on top of them. So if I, underneath every single one of these, I know it's 1940 science, but it's going to be fine. Going to be just fine. So this one here is going to be slightly exposed in this scenario, but I think that's going to be fine. So now that is a vertical power shaft tunnel. I do have, or I did have, I thought, a another type of tunnel that would put that in there. Maybe I'm thinking of a power shaft extension mod or something. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. It does have to be vertical power shafts if it's underneath anything. So, just trying to get this to line up. So that's going up that way. So if that comes down, okay, I can't really go any lower than this. No, I can. Okay. That works. And then I can't put that there because that would cause problems. But I could put that there. Then I could put that there and not have any issues. Now the issue, though, with how I'm doing this is it's going to become very hard to build this if these are all just vertical power shaft tunnels. It's going to need to become something where... I just hit pause again. I know. It helps me think better, not have to worry about it. If I just make these regular tunnels instead of vertical power shaft tunnels, then I can actually still build through here. There we go. Yeah, and then I'm just going to have this follow behind me when I can actually get into here. Remember, we're trying to make stuff that doesn't look terrible, remember? There is a method to this. There is a method to this. And I think this is going to be fine going here. I don't want to do that there because it's going to be just to the outside. So maybe, yeah, you know what? All of the praise that I levied on the vertical power shaft tunnels, I'm not even going to be able to really do anything with them because I have to be able to get to the other thing to build it. So I guess this is just going to be one of those really kind of annoying things to deal with. I'm going to make this out a regular path so I don't forget that I have to get rid of that later. So let's leave that alone for a little bit. They can figure themselves out. How's the progress going over here? Okay, so that's done. Good. That means this can be replaced with this sluice. I'm not going to worry about that. Goodbye. And this can just go automatically to this one here. And, you know, that should get this, quote-unquote, permanently fixed, taken care of. And then that should force all of that out this way once it is finished. This one can be unpaused. That's fine there. Yes, I am still planning on getting this sideways thing done here when we get there. I have not forgotten. Okay, so this needs to be exploded. That's fine. This also needed to be exploded. Maybe not necessarily that big of a deal, but that's going to let all of our water out with no issues. That's fine there. Let's unpause these tunnel pieces so we can actually build things. And these levees. Get that done. Yeah, a whole lot of... We've got 14 beavers with wet fur. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. It'll be fine. This is still kind of forcing itself to get flushed. Ah, it's not gonna get flushed because... Okay, yep, see, this is exactly why I need to pay attention to this. Yeah, there we go. It wasn't flushing because all the clean water was going here. But it wasn't supposed to just be going here. I need this to get completely cleaned out. Yeah, look at that. Look how nasty that is. Oh, yes, we have so much work to do. So much work to do getting this cleaned up. Let's just let that be what it's going to be. Looks like this is good to go. They're waiting on what? Time, I guess. Okay. I think this shouldn't be an issue the way this is laid out. I don't anticipate this being a problem. Explode. That's not... There we go. B for boom. I think this should be okay. I'm going to try to get this... Yeah. Let's collect all those resources again. I have the path there. Get these back. Not that I, really need to have all of that, but... Now I can have my regular sluices popped in. Close below contamination. We'll go for 2% again. Those adjoin, so that is fine. And then all this clean water should get shoved out that way. Here and here can easily be... Yeah, okay, you know what? I'm going to have them come and get these just because I can't just delete everything. Very good progress is occurring here. It looks like this is more or less clean with the exception of this little tiny bit here. It'll get cleaned eventually. I probably could help things out by removing this sluice here, and then that would send more that way, but I don't think we really need to be that worried about it. Let's check. Oh, this guy's done. That's the one who has nothing to do in range, one of them at least. But he's not actually done because there's more metal to collect. He just couldn't reach it. So I will give him a staircase here as well. Take care of that. What I really wanted to do was come over here and investigate. Yeah, investigate all this nonsense. So this is going to become interesting because I'm going to have to build ladders up here and then remove them. But in weird orders. This is going to get really this is going to get really complicated really fast. I might have to. Oh, I'm going to have to get creative. They can only build down, but I haven't come in from the top. Yeah, you know what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to come in from this corner here. Oh, the burden of doing things that actually don't look horrible. Once again, I'm using the plane path, so I don't forget that that has to be removed. Yeah, if they can just come in from the top and build that vertical bit from the top, then I think it's going to go so much better, and then this can, of course, just be having something put back on top of it. Okay, how are we looking here? Scrolled the wrong way. Good job. Okay, so this is forcing this out this way. That's fine. This, they've collected everything, so... Close above contamination 2%. Those are closed. Oh, no, this needs to be closed below. Okay, there we go. Almost ended poorly. Almost. But that's going to get this completely, well, these 3 bundles of sources completely taken care of. So that is going to be good for now. And yes, I am, again, still going to put this through here at some point. But for now, this is the best we're going to do before the end of this cycle. I think I can be pretty satisfied that this is clean enough for our purposes. We do have a drought coming up, so I will put that back to auto. Make sure everything is nicely taken care of. They should be able to finish this. Get that exploded. There we go. So now they can get up in here and help from below this way. Yep, that's fine. I know this is ugly, but it's fine. Don't need to be that worried about it. Ah, you know what? Oh, I had not considered that this is going to be the way it was. Okay, all right. You know what? You know what? It's fine. It's fine. I'm just gonna leave it alone. I'm just going to leave it alone. Well, this does have to connect underneath here. It's fine. Once again. Probably should at some point put a sluice in here just in case. But now that we can divert all this, I don't know that it's going to be an issue ever again. Because this is outside this area. That's fine. Yeah, you know what? I think we can feel fine with that. Okay, so now that most of these trees have been removed, I think we can help these guys out. We have some extra beavers who aren't doing anything. Let's give them another path over here just so they can get the rest of these trees removed. Put a staircase here so they can get at those. Are those even marked for cutting? They are not. There we go. Because this one's completely out of range. Get that out of there. So these are ready to go, huh? Are they connected with... No, they are not. Alright, B for boom. You know what? I should have known this was going to be a thing, and yet I... Jeez, what a pain. what a pain this has been. Yes, this is how I have to do this. Alright. Then this has to become a ladder, and then, because in my infinite genius, I had to do this way. I think I can still put... No, I cannot. I'm gonna have to... Yeah. In case you were wondering why I never play like this, this is, this is exactly why it ends up being a huge mess. At least they can build this kind of quickly. And I know they have to do that back on top and get all the other pieces back and so on and so forth. It is what it is. They can build all of this from the upside as well. Okay. Of course, this has to be removed. Okay, so the entire reason I'm doing this, the entire reason I did this whole mess, that goes out that way, and then we build from the top to come in this way. Okay, we're about to have a drought as well. Just want to make sure we acknowledge that. Why can this not be placed here? Is that because... Oh. Path. Alright. How long is the drought? 8 days. 8 days. We have plenty of stuff. It is not going to be a problem. There we go. We just have to have them build all of this, which I hope they can reach standing here. If not, then that will be another thing for me to experience a minor crash out with in about 5 minutes. Okay, so that has emptied out. This is fine here. This will always stay very full. This will stay, well, how it is. Okay, we got berries here. We do not need. Let's just get these out of here before it becomes a problem. These small pieces here. Little tiny trees I'm not going to be worried about. Berry bushes here, once again, not concerned with. We've got some options here to, you know, make some interesting stuff. If you peel this all the way back, there's a lot of space, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to put a farm down here. So, since this area is already ready to go, why don't we say right about here, that's not irrigated over there. I can have more than one farmhouse in this area, and that probably would be the smart way to do it anyway. So if I did one here, and then one, say, over here, same kind of a deal. Let's let these guys go straight all the way in. Could also have some sort of way to get across here if we really wanted to, but the idea is that we have places for things to be grown that are going to make sense, and we already have all of this, but this isn't enough, and this probably honestly should be mostly apple trees. Speaking of which, yes, I did delete the gatherer flag that was gathering the apples. So I'll put that back. There you go. Then planting crops over here, we have always had a problem with bell peppers. So I think what's going to be a smart idea is for us to build kind of crops in rows down here. So if we did bell peppers, how long is this? 25? Yeah, that's... I can get to 30 wide if they get rid of the rest of this. And these guys actually can't reach any further. Okay. There's also no trees available there. I don't think. let's, for the time being, put a couple of these lumberjack flags here. Got 3 of those. Yeah, so like I said, bell peppers. This is 29. These trees right here taken would be 30. So if I do a layer of bell pepper, a layer of tomato, right, like this, a layer of beets, and then a layer of radishes, 30. That should be a decent occupation there, but we're going to need to also have additional bell peppers. Probably more than most other things, given how this has been going so far. We'll keep an eye on things. But this, I don't think is going to grow a crop on this tile unless we can guarantee we have more water stored here. Or do irrigation channels, which you know we absolutely can do. Yeah, so bell pepper there can go away. That's a small tree that can go away. And there we go. Then I'll do another tomato, just trying to have this be somewhat interesting to look at. So we got double bell pepper, double tomato to start with. And since this is, hopefully, only ever going to be clean water, here's what I would like to do. Let's make a irrigation tunnel on this level here. All the way down. And then I want this to go out to, nope, not that level. I want this to go out to about here, which is 145, 124. Yeah, so that'll be good there. If we just go out, say 10 here, 10 here, and then at the very end, widen this to a 3x3. That should give this area nice irrigation, and then this area around here, nice irrigation as well. Of course, because this is an area that has yet to be dealt with, we're going to have to send some beavers in here on reconnaissance missions and explode things and all that. So tunnels, once again, logs, planks, explosives, extract. I personally don't think it makes that big of a difference, but I know a lot of you are very adamant that it does. And we might as well just spend our time getting this ready to go, at least with the dynamite and the extract. Everything else is fine. We'll get this temporarily set up. They'll all get wet, but that's fine. They're used to it. In the meantime, though, we do have some crops growing, and we can, of course, put some other stuff in. I probably should have measured end to end. Now, see, that's already helping just from the explosions that have occurred. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 from this side of the edge here, and this will be 1, 2, 3, 4. If I do another 5, that's 35 end to end. That might actually look pretty good. So yeah, that would get me to about there. You know what? That doesn't seem like such a bad idea. Give us something that looks slightly less terrible at the very least. Bell pepper there, and then this too far. Okay, so now I need to have pathing go this way. And maybe we leave some of these blueberry bushes here. Who knows? What do I have here? Beets? Yes. Okay. So this will be symmetrical at the very least for these 2 farmhouses. We are going to have storage for all of these goods. We don't have to, but it sure would make things look a whole lot nicer, huh? So let's do, let's see, 1, 2, yeah. We'll just take these out. I don't need these stairs here. And I can put storages here. Maybe we can stack them, and then they're closer by for everything here. Have we finished this hideously ugly thing? They can't. Okay. They can't reach that one. So that means... oh, this is a fool's errand to try and do this, but it's too late now. I guess we'll just leave that as regular. Stuff will come in from the other side here to get this brought all the way back through. And we're looking on tunnels. Yeah. Yeah, so you know, it's working. Kind of. That's good. This probably should have a sluice facing this way. set to always open just so the water stays in here, even if this evaporates. I don't know that it can on normal mode. I don't think it's going to be that big of a problem, but we'll see what happens. Thing, yeah, see, this is drying out just a lot. We'll get that fixed. Alright, so now I've got... This guy now has nothing to do. Oh, because that's in the wrong thing here. There's nothing, you know, bad over here. So why don't we take these out, and I think we can blast through, get better access over to this area. Not a bad thing. I am going to have to probably just put a platform here. It'll be easiest. This can be a tunnel. Whole lot of blasting going on, I'll tell you that much. Just make this a nice 2 wide. See, that cannot be removed because it's structural. Alright, well that's fine. This can be the same kind of thing. I don't need to have this blown up, then this can just go straight across here. There we go. Now we have access to all of this mess. What a concept, huh? Let's put in... I think just a staircase will be fine. Yeah, because they'll have access to that. Just leave this alone for the time being. And this is already set up here. That has to get blown away. Yes, I know it's kind of stupid to do this way because that's how we get access to the top here, but that's fine. Not going to be that big of a deal. These things are cheap to build anyway, so we don't need to really be that worried about it. Yeah, see, now this is slightly empty because the water level's gone down. Those are going to die. 0.2 days. Well, all the more evidence for a sluice to go in here, and this is out of range. Okay. Underwater path gets the railing. Just stick this in here so they can do what they want to do. Cycle 16. Alright. We are making good progress, though. As we usually do, it's just not as nice looking as I would prefer for a quote-unquote aesthetically minded playthrough. Okay, so that is done. That means that now I can take this out, this pathway out of here. Come on, there we go. Mercifully, our long nightmare is almost over here. I just have to get this underground thing connected. We do have our tubeway, though. A little sideways elevator. You know, that's normal elevators definitely do that. Don't worry about it. Should have nice clean water coming through here in short order. Yeah, if we're completely diverging everything here, then this does need to be open so this can get nice and clean water in here. Let's just open this. I haven't tested during a bad tide, but I'm pretty sure this should be fine. There is a chance that the bad water that is coming out here will want to go back through here because it sees that as a vacuum. And that is something that could be, you know, not solved, but could be potentially improved by putting in either floodgates or sluices underneath here. But that's something that's going to take longer than I think is, you know, really necessary at this exact moment in time. Eventually, though, I'd like to do that. Alright, so that's gone. We can get those out. This is accessible from the bottom here. Okay, so that's good. Let's get this connected by a pathway there. This can now go away completely. This also doesn't need to be a thing that can just walk up and down this mess. There we go. Okay, so I know there was at least one or two of you who said, hey, you got some guy who's been doing nothing this entire time. Where is he? Well, I don't know. Ah. Okay. Bye-bye. Go do something else. And I think now I just have to put the rest of these power shafts in. This should be good to go. Yep, that's regrettably what this has become over here. An absolute mess. you know how it goes. Vertical power shaft has to go where there is not a path. Because I was so committed to this idea of nice, clean wind power for the medical center, I didn't end up doing things in a way that made sense. Alright, so that can take that out there. I'm pretty sure they can reach everything here. That path is gone. I just need to get them not to silly billy themselves in the tunnel. Get this out of here. Beef boom. How are we looking underneath here? Okay, this is going to need at least go one more. Should take care of that. Doing fine, doing fine. Probably could use a little bit more in the way of beaver housing, so remember we were also going to build a little sun deck, whatever, over here. For now, I'm going to keep expanding our housing with these lodges here. This is going to be another 9. And this is going to be another 9 here. And that'll look decent enough, I suppose. Get those all connected just fine. We are going to need to probably pause one of these so that we don't have a huge population boom. And these guys are still filling this up. I don't think we need to have these set to obtain anymore. They can just be regular storage for the time being. Yeah, that's fine. That's going to be fine there. I am pretty pleased with how this has gone so far. We also have a kiln here that is making charcoal. We should have a second one for making just bricks. But I don't remember if I have done that. These are all just grills. So I'm going to turn this one back to bricks because it's right next to the clay pit. And then I guess I should check this. Kiln. I only have one. Okay. And that is one of these buildings. There we go. It just needs a second one. I know we've been talking about doing something else over here for a while, but that's the way it goes. I guess the kiln probably, if it's making charcoal, should be where the trees are. It has to have some sort of access to something, and it also is supposed to look nice. And I got logs here. That's not the worst thing ever, so there you go. Right next to your housing, you want a kiln to make charcoal. There you go. Well, you should have thought about that before you lived in this part of town. Oh, they still haven't finished that. So this is why I never ever place these right here, because sometimes things go wrong, but I guess now this is going to be fine. I just need to monitor this. Come on, creaky power shafts. Get somebody... Look how much more is irrigated over here. Look at that. Yeah, okay. That is looking pretty good. Now we're just waiting because it's overnight. That's fine. Get them to take care of that once the sun comes up. Except for us, the sun's already up. Have they finished exploding everything here? They have. Okay. Do I need all of this back? No. Am I going to get it back anyway? Yes. And come grab all that mess. And then I will take this out, and then I'll put a sluice gate right here. Okay, so now this is ready to get elevated to a higher priority. And once they dispatch the beavers to work on that, then I can put that in place. And then, after all of that, I can put the 5th... Ah! Of course. How could I possibly forget the entire reason I was... Oh, boy. The entire reason I was doing this. I was going to put horizontal frame flywheels in. Okay, of course they're not making any power. Ripping off Kansas. Alright, good. No! Why was it... This series has not gone well. Has not gone well. And of course it takes it to that. Alright, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. That is what I need to keep telling myself. Alright. I need to put in at least 2 of these. I think. Should be fine. We're probably not going to need to use all of these all of the time. And I do have smart power turned on, so they won't just consume things unnecessarily. So that is what I will do. We'll get this built here, and we'll just move on. Okay. Alright, so this is still mess all over the ground. There's no storage for planks because, of course, I didn't build storage for planks. That's for logs. I really don't have... Okay, I do have one here. Just not a big one. This, I need to redo this. I'm really not happy with this. We'll get there. We will get there. Where can I put plank storage without it just being completely stupid? What is this? Charcoal and scrap metal. Okay, well that doesn't need to be here. Storage for metal blocks doesn't need to be there either. Scrap metal storage, I do have somewhere else for that to go, so that can go away. We can kind of reroute this whole area here. Charcoal storage, I've been told I do not have. I have 40 worth, that's something. This has not been built. I don't have a 2x3 pile. I've got just these. What is that berry storage there? Is that the only berry storage I have? No, it is not. I've got 2 small ones. And okay, this is a mess. This is bad. This is not good. Well, that's also not right. For now, this is just going to have to work as a plank storage. I know. It'll get better. It'll get better. Okay, so this is already full. Hey, look, it's me. And I'll put one more here. We'll get that built, and then I can finally put in the last decontamination pod. And then we can actually, you know, build some sort of structure over the top of this, and it won't look completely terrible. What a concept, huh? So what kind of half roofs do I have again? I've got my 2x3 here, depending on how I want to do this. Might not look terrible. 2x2, but I don't have any support over that. You know what we do have in the platform thing? I do have this pillar. And I've got a 1 and 2 leg pillar. I could do like this. That would still take up. You know what? Let's try this. Let's see if this is going to allow me to do. Ah, no, it will not. Okay. Nope, nope, nope. Don't you build that. Don't build that. It's forbidden. There was a 2x2 platform. But I have to have, okay, one of the corners has to be usable. Staircase, pillar, pillar top. Yeah, okay. Tried and true method of just figure it out seems to be the way to go here. So these 3x1 overhangs may just end up being what we have to do here. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the best. I can, I probably should, honestly, leave this up to right about here. I do have the 5x5. I don't have a 4x4. I know there's a mod that will do that. I do not have it installed. And I know I just spent all this time talking about, oh, well, I don't want to build the stuff because I don't have enough metal blocks. And now here I am about to, you know, do even more stuff with metal blocks just to have something that looks kind of nice. But remember, it's an aesthetic playthrough. That makes waste okay. But here you can kind of see it's not going to be the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, but it is going to have a little top over this so the beavers who are injured don't get completely rained on every time. Let's get that going. How much power is this generating? That's what I was trying to check the first time. 456. Okay, so really not quite enough, but it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Let's get this taken out here. take all of this out. Get these things picked up. They filled that storage with a quickness. Somehow I don't think we're going to be able to use most of that. Oh, they also haven't finished building... Oh, no, they have. They've put all the planks in immediately. Ah, except not all of these. Okay. And I do want to, at some point, you know, expand this, make this look a little bit better, but this is at least serviceable. It's going to work, and that is what's most important. Should I really be worried about all this stuff getting left underground? No, probably not. But you know how this goes. I'm going to worry about it anyway. Or we have so many planks. I honestly probably should just say, you know what? Bye-bye. Yeah, I shouldn't waste any more time on this. Get that out of there. Get that out of there. Come on. Okay. Sluice time. Always open. Never closed. Don't know why it would matter for me to do that. Yeah, so clean water. Actually, I should close above contamination of, I guess, 1%, just in case it ever gets contaminated. But that is going to keep these things irrigated basically forever. That is going to be very good. We have access over here to keep getting these, and they are getting those. Very good, very good. All sorts of fun stuff happening here. And we have additional farming stuff. So we have 4 different types of crops. We have bell peppers, we have tomatoes, we have beets, and we have radish. I could be growing other stuff over here, but these are the main 4 that I was kind of concerned with. So, in terms of warehouses, if I do 1, 2 here, and then if I move this to be here, and then this to be here, then I've got a spot over here, so I can have all 4 of these types of crops. What a concept, huh? So, bell peppers as now an edible food. We've got beets, and then we've got radishes as a now edible food, and then we have tomatoes. All right here. Very easy to get to. You know, it's, again, not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, but it does work. This still is not connected to power because why? This has not been finished. Because they just haven't finished it. Okay. Well, conveniently, we're about to be out of time for this episode, or I am at least. I don't know. You might have plenty of time, but I don't. Get somebody in here to take care of that, and there we go. Now we have these things, and of course, the batteries do discharge. They have a parasitic drain on them because balancing or something, but that is more or less everything we have going on here, minus maybe I could have done something else with this. Taken care of. In fact, just so this looks a little bit better, I'm going to do this. I'm pretty sure I can put a half roof on top of this. Yes. Here we go. So that is going to be some sort of an improvement. I know this is open to below and all that, but we'll eventually take care of that. Just let them, you know, have their nice little beaver hospital. Gonna get these planks off the ground. Yeah, you know, I'm pretty happy with this, all things considered. I know it's the middle of the night. These beavers are running all over the place. Probably time to start thinking about separate districts. And then, of course, trains. But trains require scrap metal, which we do need to have a better source of before we go too crazy on the rest of the stuff. But hey, look at that. We got a drought approaching in 3 days, and this is pretty much the best time for us to say goodbye for today. I know I said I didn't want to have all these empty beds ready to go, but they managed to fill those kind of logically. Got it. 1/7 of our population is currently beaver infants. That's fine. But yeah, I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you watching this series, giving some helpful ideas. Again, it is very much not my typical style of play to try and think of how something looks first. And it's going to feel clunky. It's going to be weird. But I do appreciate your support and your understanding with all of that. Because, you know, after you've done 29 series in the same game, you start to kind of run out of ideas and you want to try new things. So, again, just really appreciate you guys for that. Beard boosters, you already know. But if you don't, then you don't already know. So I guess I got to tell you anyway. They're the ones who subsidize the channel and make it possible for us to do this without having sponsors, without having to try to chase the algorithm or do clickbait or whatever. Just having fun playing the games and enjoying each other's company. So whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, and I look forward to seeing you again soon for more Beaver fun. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.